That's exactly it.
Because, of course, nobody stays.
Dolly Parton's star of the show, a 70-year journey from the Smoky Mountains to stardom. Dolly Parton's life has never been about just the spotlight. You know, that shiny beam that follows her around stadiums and arenas? For Dolly, it's always been more like a bridge connecting the past to the present. The little girl she was to the icon she became, and most importantly, connecting her to everyone who's ever listened, leaned in, and believed in the music. Her latest memoir, Star of the Show, My Life on Stage, released November 11th, 2025, captures all of that in a way that feels like sitting down with her on a porch, a warm cup of coffee in hand.
I try to put on a little makeup, and, in the days I'm not even working,
hearing stories that twist and turn like the mountain trails of her childhood. At 79, Dolly looks back over 7 decades of performing hand, surviving, thriving, and laughing her way through it all. The book isn't just words. It's 350 rare photos, handwritten notes, and artifacts that feel alive, the kind you can almost touch, smell, and hear. She calls it a love letter to the stage. But honestly, it's a love letter to anyone who's ever had a dream, big or small. It all starts in a little cabin tucked in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. Picture it: rough timber walls, kerosene lamps flickering. A little girl standing on a kitchen stool, singing her heart out, while her uncle scratches away on a fiddle behind her. Chickens cluck outside. Honeysuckle curls around the porch railing. That was Dolly's first stage. The sunset behind the ridges became her spotlight. She tells stories of her mother's one rule.
Now, when you drop $1 in that red kettle, you can make a difference for the...
If you're gonna sing, sing like you mean it, because the mountains don't give second chances. And that wasn't just advice. That was survival. That was honesty. That was how a little girl learned to pour everything she had into every note. It's wild to think that all of that chickens, kerosene, honeysuckle wood, grow into Times Square billboards and stadium tours. But that's the magic of Dolly's journey. By 19, she had taken her first big leap into the world beyond the mountains. Television. Porter Wagoner, the country music showman with rhinestones probably blinding half the studio, spotted her on a local program and said, "Hey, you come sing with me." And she did. The memoir includes photos of their first meeting, Porter in all his glitter. Dolly, shy but fierce, the beginnings of a partnership that would shape her early career. On screen, she sparkled. Off screen, she learned the grind. 4 songs a day, red ink on rehearsal scripts.
Oh, well, I was so excited that Elvis was going to...
Sometimes she'd finish at dawn. And through it all, she picked up lessons that no music school could teach: stage presence, audience connection, how to hold your own even when someone else's ego is in the room. She learned that every single person in the audience, whether they're in New York or a tiny town in Iowa, deserves the best version of you. Every ticket holder deserves the best version of you, even in Ottumwa, Iowa. On a Tuesday, when the bus engine's on fire, she writes, and somehow she made it sound like the simplest, most natural thing in the world. Then came 1974, the moment that changed everything. She left Porter Wagoner's show, tear-stained contract in hand, and wrote, "I will always love you." In her margin, she simply writes, "Freedom sounds like a key change." That line hits. It's funny how music can hold that kind of emotional weight, how a song can be both goodbye and beginning at the same time. From there, Dolly's career
Actually, Elvis loved the song. That was when he
exploded into realms that many thought impossible for a country singer. Pop television, Hollywood. She refused limits, refused boxers. She appeared with Cher, Carol Burnett, The Muppets, all while keeping her southern drawl intact. She shows drafts of her song's 14 versions of the opening line of "Here You Come Again" alone, just to get the vowel on mind right. 14. Can you even imagine rewriting the same line 14 times? And yet, she did it. She did it with humor, with grit, with love. The memoir also highlights the small, intimate victories. A 1978 Grammy jumpsuit with a hidden elastic panel so she could breathe through the high note. Polaroids of her parents beneath her first Times Square billboard, Dad holding his hat, Mom wiping tears, both proud and awestruck. "That was the first time I felt big enough to admit I was small town," she writes.
been a scrunchy or whatever, but I like to kind of...
It's these moments that make Star of the Show feel alive. You can feel her gratitude radiating off every page. Hollywood came calling in 1980 with 9 to 5. And Dolly brought her southern wit, her humor, and her remarkable ability to turn challenges into opportunity. She feared cameras, so she imagined them as kids peeking over a farm fence. "I just talked to them," she writes. Simple, human, funny. The book includes her scripts with pink post-its, cassette tapes, letters from Jane Fonda praising her creativity. She didn't win the Oscar, but she stole the spotlight in every room she entered and never gave it back by the 80s. Arenas and international tours became her stage. She drew hand-plotted diagrams showing stage layouts from 1983 to 2025. Proof that no matter how big the venue, Dolly could shrink the world down to the music and the people she was
For the families who are struggling to put food on the table, and for the single
performing for. And she kept meticulous track of the keys she sang "I Will Always Love You" in from B-flat with Porter Wagoner to D-flat at Glastonbury in 2014. Grief, ages, and half steps. She captions, "Isn't that something? Life, loss, joy, all carried in the notes of a song." More recently, she performed at the 2023 NFL halftime show. Selfies included kneeling in a sequined Titans jersey, dwarfed by the players around her. And yet, she writes, "I prayed that every child watching from a trailer park felt seen." That, more than anything, is her magic. Dolly doesn't just perform. She connects. She makes every person in her audience feel infinite for just a few minutes. She's also a collector of memories, of life, of every scrap of paper that marks a moment. Dolly calls it her paper DNA. From a 1959 talent show, entry form 50 cents, or a jar of Jam 2 vodka stained. Backstage passes from a Moscow Peace Festival
for the song, and there was his producer at the time.
In 1987. She keeps it all. She worked with the Country Music Hall of Fame to catalog over 1 million items, and in doing so, she realized that memory isn't forgetting. It's curated remembering. She leaves heartbreaks and feuds out intentionally. The stage is not a confessional, it's a canvas, she says, yet she leaves blank pages opposite her brightest photos, so readers can imagine the price behind the sparkle, and then she reaches the reader directly. Near the end, whispering like she's leaning through the footlights, "You, back row dreamer." That's when she shares her 7 rules of endurance. Gleaned from decades of living on stage, sing like you're telling secrets to a friend who owes you money. Costumes are armor. Respect time. If your heels hurt, you're walking in someone else's shoes. A key
Having their problems, which I met her recently.
change can raise the dead, thank the crew before the crowd, and leave before the audience leaves you. Every line is full of humor, insight, and humanity. Every line is true. If this video brought you something useful or just made your day a bit brighter, drop a like, subscribe, or share it forward. That simple gesture keeps the whole thing moving. Her final stage moment in the memoir is cinematic. The arena emptied of people, popcorn swept into little piles, and Dolly stands center stage in jeans and sneakers, arms outstretched. "This is my secret," she writes. "I never sing for the crowd in front of me. I sing for the little girl on the porch who still can't believe she got out." It's an image that sticks, like the final note of a song you wish would never end. She invites readers of the audiobook to read the pictures aloud, to describe sequence to the blind, make bass notes visible for the deaf. She turns her life story into a participatory performance, a shared experience, a conversation. Dolly's early
I feel better when I have a little makeup.
years are almost mythical in their simplicity. She talks about the cabin in the Smoky Mountains like it was its own little universe, a place where time moved differently, where a child could lose herself in sound and sunlight. She writes about standing on that kitchen stool, belting out "Jesus Loves Me," while the fiddle scratched behind her, the chickens clucking their unintentional applause. And it's not just nostalgia, there's a clarity in the way she remembers it. She felt seen by the mountains themselves, as if they were the first audience to recognize the spark that would one day light stages around the world. And maybe that's why she's always been so careful with her own performances, why she holds every note, every audience, every lyric as sacred. She knows what it's like to sing for nobody but the wind and the honeysuckle. Her childhood wasn't gilded or easy. Money was tight. Life was hard. But
Can't make rent this month. Show your neighbors in need love.
Dolly never frames it as hardship in a bitter way. She frames it as foundation. Those early days taught her resourcefulness and empathy. How to find joy in the small things, a neighbor's kindness, a new melody, a story told over supper. And she learned to entertain herself. She didn't have toys beyond the basics, but she had her imagination, her voice, and a natural gift for storytelling. In the memoir, she describes those moments with humor. The little girl with a jar of jam in one hand, trying to make enough money to pay for a talent contest entry fee, and a song in her heart the size of the mountains themselves. It's both charming and heroic, in a quiet, unassuming way. When she arrived on the Porter Wagoner show, Dolly's life leaped from the mountains to the spotlight in a way that might have overwhelmed anyone else. She recounts stepping into Porter's rhinestone-studded world and realizing instantly that charm alone wouldn't get her through. She had to work hard for songs a day, scripts marked up in red ink. Sometimes she'd finish a rehearsal at dawn and then go straight to another performance. But even in the grind, she found humor. She remembers the long bus rides, the small towns, the audience members who were too polite to admit when they were asleep during a performance. And yet, she loved it. The memoir is filled with small, vivid details like these. Details that breathe life into the often mythologized story of Dolly Parton. Her life wasn't just about fame, it was about dedication, learning, and connecting with people one song at a time. The breakthrough of I Will Always Love You came at a time of both liberation and heartbreak. Leaving Porter's show wasn't just a career move. It was emotional, terrifying, and necessary. She writes about sitting alone with that song, feeling both the freedom of independence and the pang of goodbye. Freedom sounds like a key change, she notes, almost offhand. But there's a depth in that observation that hits the heart. That song, written in a moment of vulnerability, went on to become one of the most iconic ballads in music history. And it reminds us that sometimes the most enduring creations are born from raw, honest emotion. Dolly doesn't shy away from sharing those intimate reflections. She makes you feel what it was like to be standing on the precipice of change, unsure of what lay ahead. Yet compelled by inner conviction, the late 70s saw Dolly crossing genres and breaking boundaries. She danced between country, pop, and television with a confidence that felt natural only because she had never seen limits for herself. The memoir is sprinkled with small, amusing anecdotes, like the 14 drafts of Here You Come Again's opening line, the jumpsuit with an elastic panel sewn in for high notes, and the Times Square billboard photo of her parents crying. Hollywood brought its own set of challenges and triumphs. 9 to 5, released in 1980, was more than just a movie, it was a statement. Dolly stepped onto a new stage, one that required charm, timing, and a sense of vulnerability.
He had called and asked me to come down to the studio. He said, Elvis.
She writes about imagining the cameras as children peering over a fence, a technique that helped her maintain authenticity even under the glare of production lights. And the stories behind the scenes pink post-its, script notes, cassette tapes illustrate her meticulous nature. But more than anything, she approached Hollywood on her own terms, refusing to be boxed in, mocked, or misrepresented. She didn't win the Oscar, yes, but she gained something arguably more enduring: respect, creative control, and the knowledge that she could conquer a new arena without compromising herself. Her world tours and arena shows are another layer entirely. Dolly meticulously documents her stage plots, spreadsheets, and even the keys in which she sang every performance of I Will Always Love You. Grief ages in half steps, she notes. A profound reminder that even a song as iconic as that carries a lifetime of human experience, losses, and triumphs. In 2023, during the NFL halftime show, she takes selfies while dwarfed by football players, yet she never loses the intimacy of her performance. I prayed that every child watching from a trailer park felt seen, she writes. That's Dolly in a nutshell. Grand, larger than life, yet deeply connected to the people she reaches. Performance, for her, is never about ego. It's about connection, visibility, and empathy. And then there's her paper DNA, her incredible collection of memorabilia preserved over decades. From a 1959 Sevier County talent show entry form to vodka-stained passes from international festivals, Dolly saves it all. Working with archivists at the Country Music Hall of Fame to catalog over 1 million items, she realized that memory is selective, curated, and intentional. She chooses what to show, what to leave blank, knowing that the story is as much in the gaps as it is in the photographs or letters. The stage is not a confessional, it's a canvas, she writes, and truly, her life proves it. Dolly's story is carefully framed, yet fully human. allowing readers to feel both her triumphs and the unseen struggles behind them. Her story also teaches us about empathy and visibility. She writes with care, humor, and openness about seeing the people in her audience and wanting them to feel seen, just as she once wanted to be. Her life proves that performance is not just about applause, it's about recognition, shared experience, and lifting others through art. The little girl on the porch who sang to the mountains becomes every person in the audience who dared to dream, who listened, who felt hope. Dolly Parton's life reminds us that extraordinary things often come from humble beginnings. A one-room cabin in Tennessee, a little girl standing on a stool, chickens outside, honeysuckle curling around the porch. And from that, a life that touched the entire world.
And she told me that Elvis loved that song, and he had sung that to her.
Star of the Show isn't just a memoir. It's a testament to joy, purpose, and the craft of connection. It's about how to turn ordinary moments into anthems, small gestures into universes, and stage lights into bridges. Dolly has shown us that show business, when done with truth, becomes soul business. She turns every ordinary day into a celebration, every audience into a family, every note into a story that keeps on echoing long after the spotlight dims. So, here's the question for you. What small stage moments in your life have changed you forever? And how are you keeping the little dreams alive that started in your own mountains, porches, or backyards? If this video brought you something useful or just made your day a bit brighter, drop a like, subscribe, or share it forward. That simple gesture keeps the whole thing moving.